Former First Lady Nancy Reagan was a frequent visitor to Santa Barbara County in the 1980s. News Channel 3 senior reporter John Palmentary joins us live. And John, you were one of the local reporters invited to spend time with the former First Lady and her husband, President Ronald Reagan, when they took a break here from the White House.
And I'm at the Reagan Ranch Center now, and through the windows, it's closed at this hour. You can see a lot of pictures in there from the old days that reminded us when the Reagans were here in Santa Barbara County on many of their trips away from Washington, D.C. And, you know, they like to have privacy at the Reagan Ranch, but they did come down once in a while. And there was some memorable moments that we just can't forget. So we dug up some grainy video and some faded photographs from over 30 years ago.
A truly royal gathering serenade.
If you were around here in the 1980s, you might have had a glimpse of President Reagan, First Lady Nancy, and dignitaries when they were here to visit, like this stop by Queen Elizabeth on a stormy day in March of 1983. They were at the airport, courthouse, mission, and had tacos at Rancho del Cielo, the Reagans Ranch off Refugio Road. For the most part, the Reagans were secluded at the ranch. It was a 688-acre spread on a mountaintop where they had a sweeping view of the Pacific Ocean and the ranch lands of the Santa Ynez Valley. They called it the Western White House. Daily, they did ranch chores and rode horses, sometimes past our television news cameras, but often they were images captured from a mountaintop miles away with zoom lenses. Mrs. Reagan, we were told, especially loved her privacy there. One famous trip was in May of 1992. It involved former Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev and his wife, Raisa. They were dressed in Western gear with Ronald and Nancy Reagan and toured the ranch in a Jeep. Each summer, the Reagans were at the ranch for an extended stay and always came down to a private barbecue they would host for White House reporters and the local press. Here's a look at CNN reporter Paul Verkaman when he met the First Lady back in the days when he was a reporter at KEYT. And reporter Lance Orozco, now with KCLU, also shared one of his moments with the Reagans as they arrived for some tri-tip and country music. For young reporters to have President Ronald Reagan and his wife Nancy around for a photo opportunity with you, that was a memory of a lifetime.
And when we met with the Reagans at the barbecues, they certainly did not talk politics when we were sitting down to eat or walking through the reception line. Politics was off limits, but they did talk about the ranch. And Mrs. Reagan did talk to me over the years about her ranch animals and about their small lake. They had a little boat. They would go out there and just float around in that tiny lake and just get away from it all on the top of the Santa Ynez Mountain Range. Reporting live at the Reagan Ranch Center in Santa Barbara this evening, I'm John Palmentary, News Channel 3.
All right, John, thank you. Great memories, wonderful keepsakes. We'll stay with News Channel 3 for continuing coverage of Nancy Reagan's death, from the public paying respects to Friday's funeral. You can